all hell is breaking loose as world leaders are revoking their support against Donald Trump and his despicable regime. Just yesterday, we saw the Italian government getting closer to where Spain is in questioning the U.S.'s ability to use Italian resources or air bases in the U.S.-Israeli-Iran conflict. A defense minister in Italy is acknowledging the illegality of the attack under international law. Alberto Lamano writes, and as Dave Keating explained, something is shifting right now. For the first 4 days of this war, Spain was the only EU government willing to criticize the United States-Israeli attack as a violation of international law. Then France joined, then Slovenia joined, then the UK joined, then Canada joined. Now Italy is the appeasement dam breaking. Also, every damn thing that Donald Trump and this despicable Trump regime is saying are lies. Remember when they previously said, oh, the United States has air superiority over Iran, which, by the way, by now, it better damn well have air superiority over Iran based upon the vast resources of the United States. But editor-in-chief of the War Zone, Tyler Rogaway, is saying the U.S. and Israel have not achieved full air supremacy over Iran, despite their claims. More lies from the Trump and Netanyahu regimes. There are only areas of localized air superiority, while Iranian mobile air defense still pose risks. The shift to direct airstrikes over Iran increases operational risk for aircraft. Iran still has road, mobile, and hidden air defense systems that can hide and pop up out of nowhere. And as Rogaway notes, the airspace is in some sanitized zone, and achieving total air supremacy has not occurred. The campaign is now moving from long-range standoff strikes to direct attacks, allowing more targets to be hit, but raising the threat to pilots and aircrafts. And also, all hell is breaking loose throughout the entire world. The Trump regime has admitted that the U.S. air defenses may not be able to intercept many of Iran's one-way drones. The Trump regime apparently never prepared for this. So they're begging Ukraine for help again yesterday. Ukraine to help U.S. and its allies counter Iranian drones in the Middle East, said Zelenskyy yesterday. President Zelenskyy posted the following. We received a request from the United States for specific support in protection against Shahids in the Middle East region. I gave instruction to provide the necessary means and ensure the presence of Ukrainian specialists who can guarantee the required security. Ukraine helps partners who help ensure our security and protect the lives of our people. Glory to Ukraine. So Zelenskyy swooping in to help the United States as the Trump regime begs Zelenskyy for help. So you would think the Trump regime would be grateful. You would think that Donald Trump would say, what can we do for you, Zelenskyy? But instead, Donald Trump gave an interview to Politico yesterday saying the following. It's unthinkable that Zelenskyy is the obstacle to peace with Putin. You don't have the cards, Zelenskyy. Now he's got even less cards, Donald Trump told Politico. Trump maintained that Ukraine's leader is not showing the willingness to negotiate. Zelenskyy has to get on the ball, and he has to get a deal done, according to Donald Trump. Putin's ready to negotiate. Putin wants to end the war. I think Putin's ready to make a deal, but Zelenskyy isn't. Zelenskyy is the obstacle. So while the Trump regime is begging Zelenskyy for help to shoot down these Shahid drones because the U.S. doesn't have the capabilities and went into an unlawful war without figuring out how to do this at the kind of scale that's necessary to keep up with the munitions production. That's what Donald Trump's doing with Zelenskyy. But by the way, it gets even worse than that. Yesterday, the Trump regime removed all of the barriers for India to acquire oil from Russia, handing Russia a massive win. The U.S. Treasury yesterday, after the Trump regime begged Zelenskyy for help, the U.S. Treasury eases oil sanctions on the Kremlin, allowing Indian refineries to buy the millions of barrels of Russian crude on floating storage until at least early April. The new rules cover all of the oil already loaded in a tanker by March 5th, 2026. This is a massive win for Putin. And one of the things that's going on in the region of Eastern Europe as well is you have Hungary trying to provoke a war right now with Ukraine. So Hungary got a visit recently by the Russian top military officials and Putin's closest allies. And then right after that, Hungary, which is led by Donald Trump's buddy Viktor Orban, and the Trump regime is trying to keep Orban in power. There's an election coming up in about a month where Orban's Fidesz party is expected to lose to the opposition party. And Orban is trying to do anything he can to stay in power. So yesterday, Orban's Hungary took this isn't even get reported anywhere, took 7 Ukrainian hostages and stole money belonging to Ukraine, $80 million, and threatened war against Ukraine. Here is what Ukraine's foreign minister is saying. Today in Budapest, Hungarian authorities took 7 Ukrainian citizens hostage. The reasons are still unknown, as well as their current well-being or the possibility of contacting them. These 7 Ukrainians are employees of the state-owned Oshad Bank who were operating 2 bank cars transiting between Austria and Ukraine and carrying cash as part of regular services between state banks. In fact, we are talking about Hungary taking hostages and stealing money. If this is the force announced earlier today by Mr. Orban, then this is a force of a criminal gang. This is state terrorism and racketeering. We have already sent an official note demanding an immediate release of our citizens. We will also address the European Union with the request to provide a clear qualification of Hungary's unlawful action, hostage taking, and robbery. So Hungary just took hostage multiple Ukrainians and also threatened the sovereignty of Zelenskyy. Ukraine has placed Hungary under blockade. We cannot negotiate with the Ukrainians. And then Orban kept on posting these videos of Zelenskyy saying the following: President Zelenskyy's threats are not about me. He's threatening Hungary. Unfortunately for him, he cannot stop me from protecting Hungarian families. And so do you see how Orban's behavior is just like Donald Trump's? Orban then posts, no accident, no coincidences. They're calling it a Ukrainian oil blockade. Just so you know what they're even referring to. Russian drones and ballistic missiles blew up something called the Friendship Pipeline, which allowed oil to go through Ukraine into Hungary and Slovakia, and Russia blew it up. And so Hungary and Slovakia are like, Ukraine, you got to build it quicker. And Ukraine's like, well, we'll do our best. But also that oil is used to kill us here in Ukraine. That's basically blood money. And Russia blew it up, and we're under attack by Russia every day with Shahid drones from Iran and ballistic missiles on our own that are attacking us. So if we start renovating the Friendship Pipeline that Russia destroyed, we're going to get targeted by Russian Shahid drones from Iran and ballistic missiles. But Orban writes, it's a blockade. It's an effort to remove Hungary's patriotic government, Zelenskyy and the Tyza party, that's the opposition party, and von der Leyen are scheming and pulling strings to achieve their aims. In April, Hungarians must choose the party that fights for them, not the schemers backed by Brussels and Kyiv. You see, Orban uses that same Trumpian Putin language right there. Orban's down like 15 points or so in the polling. So he wants to provoke a war right now with Ukraine and draw Hungary into the broader war. And Orban gave a speech yesterday saying there will be no deals, no compromises. We will break the Ukrainian oil blockade by force. Hungary's energy will soon flow again through the Friendship Pipeline by force. So Hungary threatening war with Ukraine. So just pull out for a second and let's just think about where there's war. Russia invades Ukraine, right? Russia's proxies in the area, Belarus, Hungary, Slovakia, others being used to launch attacks against Ukraine, right? Russia's invasion of Ukraine. You have Afghanistan and Pakistan at war, which is also a proxy war between Pakistan and India. You have the United States and Israel invasion of Iran. You have Congo and Rwanda still at war. You have the United States with boots on the ground in Ecuador. The United States currently in a corrupt deal with Delcy Rodriguez from the Maduro regime there. You have the U.S. effectively blockading Cuba, starving the people to death there. There's been power outages there. Yesterday, Donald Trump talked about the United States invading Cuba. Trump had the Miami soccer team, or the football, if you're not in the United States, behind him. And they talked about Cuba's next. Donald Trump's out there saying, what do you think? He gave an interview to Jonathan Karl of ABC saying, what do you think, Jonathan, about my performances? How do we perform in Venezuela? Great performance. What do you think about the performance in Iran? Even better than Venezuela. And then Donald Trump was saying yesterday, Cuba's next. Cuba's next. We're going after Cuba. It should be noted that throughout the Middle East and these Arab nations that are getting bombed by Iran right now, you know, all these Arab nations have laws basically to restrict filming by people in their countries of the ballistic missiles and the drones striking them. So it's hard to even get accurate data of the scope and scale of the Iranian strikes because it's basically banned to film them. You have the Qatari News Agency, the Kuwaiti Ministry of Interior, and UAE, Dubai has put out similar notices, basically announcing that they're arresting their citizens who are videotaping what's happening, and they're arresting them for disinformation. And they're saying these are disinformation videos you're putting out there regarding, you know, what's going on in Doha and what's going on in Abu Dhabi and Dubai and Bahrain. And so they were actually arresting citizens there as well. The Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps spokesperson saying, we are ready for a long war to punish the aggressors. Iran's new weapons and innovations are on the way and have not been deployed at scale yet. Enemies should expect painful strikes in every operational wave. I mean, here's the thing, though, too. I mean, look, U.S. and Israel are pounding Iran very, very hard. But Iran is striking back, attacking U.S. interests and other allies and Arab nations in the region, where with a focus on where the U.S. interests are, but also, you know, airports and residential buildings, luxury hotels, luxury apartments, and we know that the Strait of Hormuz is basically all shut down, effectively, you know, closed. Liquefied natural gas isn't being produced in Qatar. You've got a lot of a lot of shutdowns over there as well. And so, you know, you have war raging everywhere. What's Donald Trump doing? He was posting Call of Duty montages and saying that this is the war in Iran. He's posting videos of Gladiator, and he's posting videos of Sith Lords, and he's posting videos of the Transformers over and over again. That's what the despicable Trump regime is doing right now. And, you know, look, Gulf states are now reviewing overseas investments and contracts, as Dropsite writes, as the U.S.-Israeli war with Iran strains their budgets, including possible use of force majeure clauses and clauses and reassessments of investment pledges, the Financial Times reports. Officials say reduced energy exports, disrupted shipping through the Strait of Hormuz, declining tourism and aviation, and rising defense spending are squeezing the financing of wealthy Gulf states. You know, they manage these huge sovereign funds and pledge hundreds of billions in U.S. investments, meaning any pullback could increase the pressure on Donald Trump to pursue diplomacy. And they're also, these Arab states are running very low on interceptors to take down Iranian-fired ballistic missiles and cruise missiles. So now the U.S. needs to do a supplemental funding that we, the taxpayers, are going to ultimately have to pay for. That's going to cost the taxpayers about $50 billion or so. Also want to point out, again, as more details emerge of what happened at the Iranian hospital, or the Iranian elementary school where the little girls were killed. Right now, I mean, most U.S. press is confirming satellite images that the U.S. indeed was the entity that hit and struck this hospital in Iran, in Manab, killing about 150 children, about 175 people total in this school complex, which was nearby an Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps area, which was nearby, but the school was a direct hit on the school. And then all of the little girls died. The United States said, oh, we're investigating it. But it seems pretty clear that, this is where our taxpayer dollars are going. And Donald Trump really is unable to justify, or can't even explain what the reason we're in this war is for, other than him saying on a scale of 0 to 15 or a scale of 0 to 10, it is a 15. He says that's how great it is. So he's begging Zelenskyy for help, then attacking Zelenskyy, then also propping up Iran by helping Russia make a lot of money by allowing India to buy Russian oil. Russia's allied with Iran. So this plan makes no sense either, because Trump is terrified about the global oil prices. So that's why he's saying you can buy the Russian oil, because India was previously banned from doing that. But now by doing that, Russia then uses their money to help fund Iran, which are the Shahid drones that attack the United States and U.S. interests in the region. And so none of this is thought out at all right now. And it's just, kind of typical Trump, where he goes, how's my performance? Aren't I doing amazing? On a scale from 0 to 10, I give it a 15. We're well ahead of schedule. We know that the United States military is preparing for, a war that could be the rest of the year, at least the rest of the year. And so Trump may pull out and claim a victory or do something, but, Iran still has a say in this because, they have their own military and and they're taunting the United States saying, you want to invade, come and invade. I mean, here, I'll show you. This was Iran's foreign minister saying, you want to invade, you can invade. Here, play this clip.
Are you afraid of a U.S. invasion in your country?
No, we are waiting for them.
You are waiting for the U.S. military to invade, the ground troops?
Yes, because we are confident that we can confront them, and that would be a big disaster for them.
Right, and he's also saying, there are no negotiations taking place with the U.S. Here, let's play it.
Right now, you're saying Iran does not want a ceasefire.
We are not asking for a ceasefire. And we don't see any reason why we should negotiate with the US when we negotiated with them twice, and every time they attacked us at the middle of negotiations. So there is no request for a ceasefire by us, and there is no request for the negotiation with the US from us. We have never sent any messages to them.
Well, there you have it, folks. Let me know what you think. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 7 million subscribers. I hope you were able to take a lot of details out of that video. Thanks for watching. New Meidas merch. Head to store.MeidasTouch.com today and get yourself the best pro-democracy gear and show your support. That's store.MeidasTouch.com.